I'm Reverend Rose Vanden Eynden. I'm so glad you're here with us today, whether you're here in the physical body or with us online. It's always nice to see you. And so we'll start today's service with our invocation. Be with us today, Spirit, as we come together in this sacred space to share our love with each other. We ask for our guides, angels, and ancestors to gather close to us so that we may feel and know their presence, love, and support. We ask for the higher master teachers to grant us wisdom and insight. And we call you in using the prayer that the Master Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. All right. Well, as Penny said, it is the first day of fall today, so we're going to celebrate that in just a few minutes in our sermon. But before we do that, we're going to have a song, and I think it's Happy is the song. So let's be happy while we sing along and listen to Happy. It does make me happy. It does its job. Well, I do want to focus on the energy today of the autumnal equinox, which is what we're celebrating today as the earth moves around, as it usually does, and the heavens and the astrology of that. Of course, the autumn equinox is, the equinox word comes from the Latin word for equal, equi, and the word nox, which means night. So it means equal night, which is in comparison to the day. So we have equal night and equal day on this day. And as we go forward from the equinox today, then we start seeing shorter days and longer nights. So things get, we go into the darker period of our year. And I don't know about you, but I love the fall. I love the energy of the equinox. I love the energy of descent. And I know that might sound strange to some people, but that turning inward energy, and that is part of the energy of autumn and fall, and as we go into winter, is something that I really personally enjoy. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that, because it's a turning point that also focuses on self-reflection. And one of the things about that going inward energy, or that darkening energy, is about going within the self, and how we can do more of that in this time of the year, because we don't have as much daylight to be able to do other things. So historically, of course, this was the time of preparation for the winter. If you were part of a society many, many years ago that was agriculturally based, this would have been actually the second harvest festival, the third being Samhain, which is Halloween, and the first being Lammas, which is August 1st. And the second harvest festival really focused on gathering pretty much all of the stuff that you couldn't gather in August, but it was really that time for starting to really focus on, what do I need to do to winterize things? What do I need to do to make sure that my family, my friends, the people that I'm a part of a tribe or part of a village of, that we're all safe and well fed throughout the long winter months, because nothing would grow then, right? And that idea, or that reality of things not growing. Of course, you may have heard the myth of Persephone, who is one of the goddesses from Greek mythology. And in her myth, she descends to the underworld to reunite with her husband Hades, who is the king of the underworld, or lord of the underworld. And at autumn equinox, that's when Persephone goes back down to the underworld to be with him and to spend 6 months with him. And when she goes down into the underworld, her mother, Demeter, who is the goddess of the earth and agriculture, is sad that she's gone. And so that is how one of the ways that the ancients explained the idea of things dying and agriculture being harvested and the fallowness of the land. So at the end of her 6-month visit, Persephone will return, and that will be springtime when she brings the light and the happiness that Demeter feels when she sees her daughter again above the earth, where she reinvigorates the landscape. And that's what spring is. So we're in that time period where we say bye to Persephone, and she goes down to spend some time with Hades. And we're all excited for her in some ways, I guess. You're being reunited with your husband. But I don't know. Maybe she needed a break. You know, he is Hades after all. So just saying. In Christian tradition, at this time of the year, we celebrate Michaelmas, which is the feast of the Archangel Michael. And the Archangel Michael, in Christianity and in the Christian cycle of festivals, he also marks the beginning of the harvest festival or the harvest season. And Michaelmas isn't something that I found to be really prevalent in the Catholic Church, but it is very prevalent in the Episcopal Church. I know that because my boys went to Episcopal school and they would always celebrate Michaelmas every year. So that's another holiday, feast day that we celebrate around this time. Astrologically, we're marking the movement of the sun into the cardinal sign of Libra. And the cardinal signs are the beginning signs in the zodiac. So Libra is a sign that's focused on beauty, it's focused on partnership, and it's focused on balance. So there's the energy at this time of a fresh start, because Libra is the first of those, or the one of those cardinal signs that is the start of something. So it can be a fresh start in your personal world. It can be a fresh start, especially in terms of relationships, any kind of relationship, whether it be a love relationship, a partnership at work, friendships, relationships with family. All of those things are highlighted now. It's also a time to focus on self-worth and focusing, again, inwardly on how we feel about the self and what kinds of things that we need to work on personally. And some of that is that struggle of loving the self. And this is a great sign and a great energy in Libra to focus on that. So if you struggle at all with that, now is a good time to sit and to think more about how can I get rid of that negative talk that I have about myself? How can I show myself some more self-love, self-care, all of those kinds of things that are really important and valuable to your own soul. And the other thing we can also look at in terms of Libra's energy is personal balance. So, of course, we're talking about the equinox. Today we have the balance of light and dark. The light and the darkness are equal and balanced. So that idea of personal balance that we have for ourselves, how do we balance our spiritual self with the self that we bring out to the world every day? How do we balance all of our relationships with our work? How do we balance all of the different components of our life, things that are most important to us? What are the things that are most important to us? And how do we find time and space for all of those things, and yet still find time to balance those with our own inner journey, which is always an important piece of everything. So that's some of the things that you can focus on in this sun sign of Libra as we go into the equinox today. Libra is also ruled by the planet Venus. Okay, that's her ruling planet, Libra's ruling planet. And of course, Venus is the planet of love. She's the planet of aesthetics. which means the way things look, the beauty of things, and values. So whatever those kinds of things mean to you, they can call attention to things in your life that has anything to do with art, anything to do with style, anything to do with social conventions and social interactions. Those are all things that Venus is very good at helping with and with being in charge of. So connecting with others is a great thing to do at this time as well. Actually, today is National Singles Day. Aha! So in case you are a single person, it is your day today. And, I thought it was interesting when I read that, because I thought, okay, it's National Singles Day, which is fabulous, because you're talking about the idea of building a relationship with yourself at this time, and the idea of that being just as important as having any kind of other relationship in your life. Because we still have worth when we are not in couplehood. And sometimes I think people forget that, because so much of our society is focused on that idea of being having a partnership. So focusing inward and focusing on the self is something that we can all do, whether we're single or a couple or whatever it is. This year, Venus is in a very nice trine with the healing asteroid Chiron. And for those of you who are not astrologically inclined, as I am not, and I have to look this stuff up and see what it means. That means that Venus is helping us to address those lingering self-worth wounds that we might have from when we were younger, especially from our childhood, our adolescence. And if you think about it, adolescence often is when our self-worth is tested the most, because we start to see ourselves as separate people. We start to see ourselves as individuals. And there's a striving in adolescence to be an individual, but also not to be so individual that you don't fit in with other people. So there's a real struggle of balance that's happening. And sometimes during those times, those are the times when we become wounded by society or friends or schoolmates or any of the folks that are around us that remind us or tell us things about ourselves that maybe aren't the best for our self esteem. I remember when I was younger, we were probably, I don't know, 11, 12, somewhere in that area. And I was at my grandmother's house, and I was there with my cousin, my favorite cousin. Her name is Laurie, and I love her. We've always been very, very close. And Laurie and I were in the kitchen, and my grandmother was there, and my uncle was there, my dad's brother, who was not Laurie's dad. He was also her uncle. And I remember my uncle saying to Laurie, you look so pretty today. Boy, you're going to be so popular with the boys, and you look so beautiful. And he said nothing to me. And it really hurt my feelings. And I didn't think that I was the greatest looking thing in the world, but I was very upset because he really did wound my self-esteem that day. And I think there's a part of me that's always carried that wound with me. It's something that I remember very vividly. And I'm sure we all have perhaps similar stories, maybe not that exact story, but something that happened to us when we were younger that made it hard for us to believe in ourselves, or to believe that we were worthy of something. And so this is a great time to go back into your memories and to focus on, are there any of those things that still linger in my psyche, and what can I do to release them? Is there a way to release them? And if I need help to release them, maybe I need to talk to somebody about that, or maybe I need to do a ritual to release that, or maybe I just need to write a letter to my mean uncle and tell him that I am very sad and upset that he did that. So those are some ideas about things that might be helpful if you still struggle with self-worth or self-esteem. And I think it's a big thing that a lot of us struggle with. And I think it's one of the reasons that I'm so devoted to the idea of promoting the divine that's within everyone. Because when I have a self-esteem issue myself, that's what I always try to go back to is you're divine. Each and every individual person is divine. And so if you can start to remember that and remember that that divinity is what brings you your value, you always have value because you are divine. And so that might be something to focus on this Libra Venus season on the equinox. So we recently astrologically actually Venus was in retrograde until September 4th, which means that the planet appears to be moving backwards in the sky. It's not really, but that's what it looks like. And Mercury retrograde just ended not too long ago, September 15th. So with Venus and Mercury being retrograde at the same time, that can sometimes leave our relationships and our wallets in a mess. So if you're feeling that or seeing that in your own life, guess what? Venus is now direct, so is Mercury. So some of that may start to turn around for you, which is always a nice thing to know. And it is, again, a perfect energy to use this balanced energy of fall and the equinox to sort of get things back on track. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not a magical thing if, your finances are not straightened out to be able to just go, well, I'll just let them straighten out themselves. Unfortunately, that doesn't usually work. So sometimes we have to actually look at our budget and look at the things we've been spending money on and say, where can I fix that? Or what do I need to do differently? So this is a great time to do something like that, as well as repair those kinds of relationships that might be a little rocky or may have been rocky in the last month or so. It's a great time for opening up that channel of communication and partnership, because that's one of the things that Libra and Venus are very good at. So if you want to celebrate the fall equinox, there are lots of ways to do it, but I have a couple of suggestions that are easy ways to celebrate the fall equinox. Get yourself a bouquet of flowers. I did. Here's some right here. And they're fall flowers. They're fall colors. And sometimes that's something nice that can brighten up your home or your space. And it makes you feel good. And that's an important part of all of this celebration. And as you bring home some fall flowers, you start to think about the things that the flowers that are out there that are going to sleep now. They're falling, or they're not going to be around much longer. So having something like that in your home can help to brighten things up. Because the sun itself often represents our vitality and our life force, with darker days ahead, that can start to drain our energy. I don't know about you, but I tend to be, as much as I love the dark time of the year, I do sometimes feel like it drains my energy, my sort of buoyant energy to get through each day. That hibernation feeling, like all I want to do is curl up in a blanket and just rest. There's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes that doesn't fit into your work schedule, or that's not what you can do because you have to go do other things. You have other obligations. But to honor the light, you can burn candles. You can burn a fire. And any kind of burning of things, fire, candles, all of those things attract more light energy. So if you're feeling like you're sitting in the dark too much, it's a good idea to light some candles. And I know that sounds kind of like a no-brainer, but sometimes we just don't think about those things and how much those things can enhance your environment and enhance the place that you're living or working or being, so that it buoys your energy. Of course, this is a great time for gratitude. We're going into what I like to call the gratitude months because we're going in from September to October and November. In October, for me, I am grateful for all of my ancestors. That's what Samhain is about, Halloween. And then we go into Thanksgiving. And in America, we celebrate Thanksgiving in November. And that's all about gratitude. That's what Thanksgiving means. So we're in for this succession of holidays that talk about gratitude or remind us of gratitude and of the bountiful harvest that we have. So even if you're not a farmer and you're not going out and harvesting your field, you can still be grateful for lessons that you've learned. And those are things that have been harvested in some way because they've been something that you have put time and effort into and then learned something from. So one thing that you can do is, in this time of reflection that we're experiencing, you can sit and identify a lesson that you're grateful for. You can identify a person in your life that was perhaps instrumental in that lesson in some way, shape, or form. So they could be a catalyst for the lesson. They could be a supporter of something that you learned or of that lesson itself. And one thing that you could do is you could write a letter to that person who supported you in that lesson. Write a letter to let them know how thankful you are for them doing that for you and for being there for you and having a role in your growth. Because that's what they did. They helped you grow in some way. And if you want, you can deliver the letter, or if you don't want to deliver the letter, maybe you want to keep it on your altar at home or in a special place at home, so it reminds you of that lesson that you've learned and of the gratitude that you have for the person. And of course, you can always burn it because burning changes the energy into something that goes out into the universe. And so in burning that, you're sending that gratitude energy out into the universe. And you're creating more light because you're burning something. So there's lots of different ways that you can celebrate that light energy that might be missing. But you can also celebrate the light that someone else brought to you in the form of a lesson. Journaling is always a good, lovely thing to do to reset yourself. And that's a lot of what the fall equinox is about, is resetting. That idea of where in my life do I need to reset? What in my life do I need to reset? And some of the things that you might focus on are how you express your needs to other people. How can I express my needs more clearly? Or how can I express myself more or feel more at ease in expressing my needs? In what areas of my life should I compromise more or maybe compromise less? And again, these have to do mostly with relationships and how you deal with other people, which is a focus of this time and this energy. How can I find a better balance between my needs and the needs of others? So that you're bringing in all of that energy around balance and around your relationship with others, and really kind of examining those things and seeing what is working and maybe what's not working. And it's a great time to reset that if it's not working. Do something to make it better for yourself and for other people that are in your life. So, by the way, some flowers that have Venus energy, if you're interested in this, I don't know anything about flowers. You would think I would because my name is Rose. It's just not true. But some good treat yourself flowers are things like roses themselves. Those have Venus energy. Hibiscus is also a Venus-centered flower. I don't have any hibiscus in here, I don't think. But it's not really a fall flower, but it is a Venus flower. And the passion flowers are also lovely, and tea is nice too. So if you don't like it, you can, if you're a tea person, those kinds of herbs and things can be found in different teas. And so if you want to ingest something like that, something that's warm and reminds you of the sun, see what we're doing here? That's another wonderful way to sit with a cup of tea and your journal and to take some time to reflect on where you are and what you've been doing this past summer season and what you want to be doing in the fall. What is it that you're dreaming of? And how can that fit into your life better? What changes can you make to make your whole life better and thus make the lives better of those that are around you? So I'll leave those thoughts with you today as we move into our meditation. So we're going to do a little autumn meditation today. So I know that we're going to turn off the lights a little so that you can relax a little bit better. So if you just want to take a minute to be comfortable in your seat, to close your eyes, and begin to focus on your inhales and your exhales. Just allow yourself to sit and to breathe for a moment, following the path of your air that as it enters, exits your body. And as thoughts enter your mind, you can acknowledge them. And then you can let them pass by without any judgment, without dwelling on them. Just let them go. Always think about those things later. Just let your body begin to relax with that inhalation, exhalation of breath. So I invite you at this time to just picture in your mind all of the plants and the abundance that the summer months have brought. You might picture ripe fruits, ripe vegetables in an abundant garden, beautiful flowers, winding vines, herbs, all of these beautiful things that are ready to be cut and dried. And imagine the sun's energy being absorbed into those plants and transformed so that they can grow and offer us oxygen, nutrients, beauty. Let yourself be fully in that moment of summer. How does it look and feel and smell? Now imagine that around you, the shadows begin to lengthen with the earlier onset, sunset, nighttime. The air around you begins to become crisper. The leaves around you begin to color into those beautiful, vibrant reds, oranges, yellows, golds. As you watch that happening, mentally welcome autumn as it begins to bloom all around you, as if it's a second spring blooming. And see the leaves as they begin to fall from the trees. And see the other plant life starting to change. Knowing that this is necessary. It's a beautiful part of life, the cycle of the seasons. Smell the sweet and spicy aroma of fallen leaves. Take a moment to bid farewell to the summer light. And inhale the new light of autumn. And if there's something that you are grieving, you can bring that to mind. Or something that you have been holding on to. Something that you may feel or know that no longer supports your highest, best way of living. Something that you need to let go of. And if there is something that you're ready to release from your life, whatever it is, imagine that being a brown leaf that begins to crumple and is released from the tree into the wind. And as you watch the brown leaf begin to flutter away, feel the gratitude for what you've learned and the ways that you've grown because of that thing. And you know that as this leaf falls and joins all of the other leaves on the ground, that it will break down over the next seasons and become rich and fertile compost for the new growth of the spring. And so now return your focus to your breath. Breath in and breath out. Breath in and breath out. And allow your focus and your energy to come back to your physical self, to your body in the chair. Still breathing in and breathing out as you come more fully back to your physical self. Deep breath in. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes slowly, wide awake, relaxed, and at peace back in your body.